Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
Check. What up, world? It's the man with the plan, Burt McGurk, aka PR, the King of Hearts, and you are now tuned into Clocking Out, the podcast you listen to when you need to get motivated and inspired to doing bigger and better things. What is going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Clocking Out. I'm the man with the plan here, Burt McGurk, aka PR, the King of Hearts, and I'm here with another talented, very, very talented, if you can see by all the stuff, if you can get the hint from his background of what he does, artist, okay? Eranga, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Thank you for having me on.
No, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate you coming on and take the time to share a little bit about yourself and what it is that you love to do.
Yes, sir.
So I see that you're an engineer by day and a comic artist by night. So can you just give us a little bit more background on that? Like, how does that happen? Like, how do you go from having a regular 9-to-5 job to then at night spending your nights drawing and everything like that? How are you able to spend that much time creating amounts of artwork that you make to make comic books or to help other artists complete their artwork or anything like that? Like, what gives you the patience? Because the stuff that are in comic books are nothing like other cartoons or other artwork where it's really simple stuff. I feel like comic drawings are very, very detailed. So I know you have to have extreme patience for that. So what is it that makes you so comfortable that right after work you want to do something that requires so much focus and like patience?
Man, how far back do I go here? Well, I'll try not to overextend this too far in the past. I grew up a comic book kid, right? I grew up overseas, reading comics, drawing. I've been drawing since I was like 5 years old. Like as with most things, I moved to the US when I was 18 to go to college, and I went to college for engineering. Going back to like a cultural thing where I grew up, I'm originally from Sri Lanka, so I think it's a brown thing where parents, being an artist, that's not gonna pay the bills, right? Where the grades, da. So that's part of it where I wouldn't say they necessarily discouraged it, but just culturally, that just wasn't a thing. So it was a cute, fun hobby, but you're gonna go to school, you're gonna get your grades, you're gonna go get a quote unquote real job, because it's got to be either engineer, doctor, lawyer. That's just kind of how it kind of works in our culture. But so yeah, I followed that path when I came here, and unfortunately, as with most things, like once I moved here solo to go to college, and it was this whirlwind of other things. It was kind of getting used to a new country, college, the excitement of kind of hanging out and partying and whatever. Drawing just kind of fell by the wayside, right? I do a little bit here and there and whatnot, and eventually kind of life goes on. Pretty soon, I finished undergrad, I finished grad school, I got a job, and it was the 9-to-5 from there. The moment that changed all of that was the pandemic. I think a lot of people who've really leaned into their hustle, into their side hustle, can say that. We were in lockdown. I was at home. I had a lot of extra time. It's not like I wasn't working, but a lot of the extraneous stuff was gone. I mean, we're not going to bars and restaurants and whatever. So at home, just for sanity's sake, man, I started drawing again. And I just kind of remembered how much I loved it. So this is circa, 2020, early 2020. And then I was like, look, I'm going to make an Instagram account. I'm going to put my art out there just to share it with no agenda, right? Just, I wasn't thinking, I want to draw comics. I want to, get this. I want to monetize this, whatever. It was just, I was drawing. I just wanted to put it out there. A lot of the first people that followed me were friends and family. And that was it. Lo and behold, like within a couple of months, someone reached out to me and asked me for a commission. And God, man, I didn't even know what someone would charge for something like that. Because I want to say I charged him like $25, maybe something like that.
Wow.
Um,
Assuming, because me, I know nothing about when it comes to that world of like what the real price would be or what you get what I'm saying. Is that
yeah,
you
yeah.
regret it afterwards?
What's that?
Did you regret it afterwards? Like you felt like,
No, no, I had zero regrets, man. I rode that high for a long, long time. Just the fact, the fact that someone wanted something from you. So I drew like this spawn image and whatever, gave it to the guy. The guy loved it. He shared it online on a Facebook group. There's a Facebook comic art collecting group, like a commission collecting group called Sketch Prices. So he shared it on that group. Pretty soon, like literally like an hour or so after he shared it, a couple of people reached out to me, asked me, if I'd do a couple more commissions. That kind of just steamrolled, and then they shared their stuff online, and eventually it just got a writer reached out to me, a writer publisher, and said, "Hey, I'd like you to do a cover for us." So I was like, "Holy smokes!" Did a cover, and yada yada, man. That just kind of just kept on going. It was just like the tendrils. There's so much to hate about social media, but this when it works right, this is the kind of stuff that can really kick that into overdrive. The second part of your question is, yeah, I still have my day job, man, and it's a pretty challenging job. So here's what an average day for me looks like. I wake up around anywhere between 5:30 to 6:30 a.m. Grab a coffee. So this is my office right now. This is my office space. My drawing board is right here. You can't see it, but this is my workstation. So I have them side by side, right? So 5:30 to 6:30, whatever. I wake up, get my coffee, get up here, and I'll draw for like an hour, hour and a half, like just to get that going. Then I jump onto this side of the table and I work. I work through it. At lunch, I will, and I work from home. So maybe a little detail that I left out that helps me a lot working from home. Right? I
it's a
don't know
big
how
plus.
much of this would have been possible if I had to go into an office, the commute time, etc., etc. So I'm able to be flexible in that sense. Like during my lunch break, I'll draw a little bit more, like a half hour or whatever after lunch. 5 o'clock, wrap it up, go downstairs, hang out with my wife. We'll cook, eat dinner, watch garbage TV. But I also have space downstairs that I can draw at. So while we're watching TV, she'll put on one of her murder podcasts or whatever, and I'll draw that whole time. She kicks off to bed. I'm usually up till past midnight drawing. Because
But
these
is that
days,
because it's like a thing that you have to finish something and it's a deadline, or is it just the thing that you don't even notice that time's going by? That's how like you're into it and you're just losing time and it doesn't feel like hours are going by.
it's a combination of both. I usually have a reason to be up because I have commissions and art that I need to deliver to people. So I am meticulous. I am like militant about not missing a deadline. So I've been doing this for roughly 5 years. I can say I've only ever been early. I've never missed a deadline unless the person who I owe the commission to was late giving me info, right? So whether that's an editor or a writer, whoever I was drawing a cover for their book, they didn't send me the info in enough time. That's the only time. So it's a problem. I'm really like whatever it takes to get that job done early or on time. So that's why I'm up doing that. I don't think I'd be doing that if I was just drawing for fun. I've had some late nights and a lot of like just lack of sleep in those instances.
Got
But yeah, that's a long-winded kind of answer to how I got here.
I got you, man. And so like what was it that made you or showed you, like what was the first sign for you that was like, you know what, maybe there's something else in this besides me just drawing pictures and posting it online? Like what was the first thing that said, all right, there's a potential side thing here that I can actually not only do something that I enjoy doing, that I don't mind doing, but at the same time something that's going to make me some money?
Well, I think it took a minute, even as I was deep in it, um, because I continued to work. I always had had work. I was doing commissions. Just to give you like an example, I stopped counting, but about 4 years in, because I'd kept a list. This is the engineer nerd in me, so I had an Excel list of everything I'd ever done, and in that 4 year period, I was north of 700 pieces of art that I'd sold, not done, like actually sold. So I'd monetize that, right? I never went into this. Like I said, there was no agenda, but there was when I started getting published work, like professional work. So I've done work for Dark Horse Comics, Dynamite, Scout Comics, and a bunch of independent books. But when that started happening, I was like, well, this is weird. I never thought like the tendrils of what I was doing would reach far enough to an actual publisher, because I was so isolated from it. Growing up in another country, you're so isolated from it. You barely knew another comic book reader, much less a comic creator, or So those are like really. And then while I was in college, I didn't go to comic conventions. I didn't do any of that stuff. I was just I think it was 2019 the first time I went to a comic convention. I went to SDCC. So I didn't have any of that. So there wasn't a pathway in my head that this could be a career, like I mentioned before. But once I started looking at it, I want to say I was maybe year 2, possibly at the end of year 2, where I'd gotten some professional work under my belt. And that's when I was like, wait, there may be something here.
And do you feel like, for when it comes to being creative and having like, when you get commissions and everything like that, and it's not just like they tell you, all right, we need this, or we want it this way, and it actually involves you being more creative and putting in some of your flavor and your flair and touch to it, and you got to actually dedicate some time to it. Do you think it's harder trying to do that while balancing a regular 9 to 5 job, or not even a regular 9 to 5 job, the type of job that you have, which requires a lot more focus, and you're a lot more like, it's even like you said, you're making a list of things that you did, and it's just the way that your head is wired, and I'm pretty sure that your job makes that like a second nature too. So
Right.
do you find it to be more hard when you have to have a job that requires that type of focus and that type of accuracy, and then you got to go and then transfer that to just being creative for someone else's project?
Yeah, just two different sides of the brain, right? It's kind of unusual to have a job that's that technical, and then to have this thing where it's pretty artsy. I haven't looked at it that way. To me, it's always been a relief to jump from one to the other. So working as on a job that's as technical as I have, there are times I find myself where I'll come up with an idea while at work, and I'll either scribble it down or do a quick rough sketch on like a pad of paper and put that aside. So I gotta like get on that. No, as far as flipping the hats when the time comes, I've never really had like an issue with that. But yeah, it's a spot on observation. They're really different worlds, like on different ends of the spectrum.
What about
Again,
burnout? Has that ever occurred because of one or the other?
man, another good question. Just because, like, over the last I'll tell you, we decided to do. Well, I'm burning the candle at both ends, right? Not out of necessity, I would say. I'm fortunate in that regards, but just because I love this thing. When recently, when we released the 8-page preview, we made a decision. Hey, let's get off our butts. Let's finish the script. And then I had to finish pencils. When I say we, it's David Byrne, who's a co-creator and the writer of the book. And roughly 11 to 12 days, I had to do a full 8 pages of a comic that included like design, pencils, inks, the whole thing, and that was sandwiched on either side of my job. So there were a lot of like 4 a.m.s, 3 a.m.s, and still waking up at, 7, 8 o'clock That was a tough one, and I started feeling like, oh, look, something's got to give here. But it was a limited period, so I was able to kind of put in the time that was needed for those 10, 11 days, and I was done. But I can see a time.
It was 10 or 11 days like that. Has that been like the longest? Like, what's the longest that you had a commission that you felt like you were going from one to the other? Like you said, burning burning both ends of the candle.
Luckily, when it comes to commissions, I give people a very long window. Like, I will tell them this could take up to 4 to 8 weeks. I give them window of 4 to 8 weeks. Um, in truth, I could do it in 2 days. I may finish in 2 days, 3 days, but I just want them to know, like, this is the realistic window.
Got
That puts zero pressure on me. I know 2 weeks I could finish it. But the thing is, I'll have multiple things lined up. It's not just that one commission. I may have 5 or 6 to do. I may have a cover I need to do for a publisher. But that telling people it could take 4 to 8 weeks is kind of fantastic when you deliver it in like 3 or 4 days because they're like thrilled. It's Yeah. So I've never put pressure on myself where it's a commission um to squeeze myself into a corner there in that sense.
And out of all the companies that you work with and projects, what's the one that really felt like when you did it, you were like, you know what, I besides for like your first commission or your first project that you ever did, what was it that really got you to be like, you know what, I really feel like I made something that you're happy to be a part of? Like, I'm pretty sure everything felt like that, but did you have anything that really stood out that was special to you for whatever reason, a character that you had an opportunity to work on, or a company that did a certain run of comics that you liked as a kid or anything like that? Was there anything similar to that you were a part of that you were like, you know what, like you geeked out about it, like this is a big thing for me?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Frank Miller's 300.
Yes.
It was the 25th anniversary of 300 about 2 years ago. The book, the comic that the movie's based on, etc. So Dark Horse and Frank Miller, they were doing a celebration of this 25th anniversary, and they'd invited several artists to pitch in with variant covers. And I'm not going to bore you with the whole story of how I got selected to do this, but I got a chance to do it. So I got a chance to work with Frank Miller on a Frank Miller title, and Frank's like kind of like in comics, he's a god, right? I mean, with between like 300 and his Daredevil run up, like a lot of what you see in the Daredevil show on whether that's on Netflix or Disney Plus, a lot of that is Frank's stuff that they're translating.
Mhm.
Dark Knight Returns. So to be doing a cover for that guy, and it's 300 and it's the 25th anniversary, and up until that point, no one other than Frank had even been allowed to draw these characters because he holds such a thing there. So that was a very like supremely surreal kind of experience for me. And then like when we released it, I actually got to meet Miller at MegaCon when we were doing the book release and stuff like that, and chat with him. And you gotta have to step outside yourself and be like, man, when did you ever see this happening? So
Exactly.
that was like that moment for me.
That's fucking dope, man. I'm not even
Yeah.
gonna lie. That's one hell of a fucking. And then again, it's like I completely understand that. Like, it's one of those things that you go from looking at it as a fan to actually being behind the scenes and being close enough to like actually like get like you're touching the original stuff, and then you're able to like toy around with like and like I'm pretty sure it's like one of those things like, wow, I never would have thought I went from picking it up and looking at this for the first time and then being here. You get what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. It's just a wild experience, and I hope I never lose that because I'm sure there'll be other opportunities that come along that make me want to like pinch myself. But up to this point, that's been the thing where like my wife was like, "You're like a little schoolboy." So I was like, "Yes, I know." And then like she was with me when the opportunity came to meet meet Frank, and she was like, "You're super nervous." So, and I don't get nervous. That's just not me. Like I'm, and she was like, "This is weird. Like you're like super." I was like, "I know. Stop bringing it up."
Love
Yeah,
that,
but
man. With all that going on, your job, and then all the creative stuff that you're working on, how are you able to find time just for yourself, where you know that you don't have to, like, you can just shut your brain off, you could dedicate it to family and friends and loved ones, and just, not having to worry about deadlines or anything like that, or being perfect and in the lines and all that stuff like that. Like, how do you, like, so many people talk about being like getting burnt out, not able to balance stuff, or how relationships get ruined because they get dedicated on what they have a passion for. But then there's other people that they find a way to balance it all. Like you're mentioning yourself, like you're married. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like, how is it that married? Being married is not something that's easy. I'm not married myself or nothing, but I know many people who are, and I know that it's not an easy thing. There's a lot of work that comes to that. And then when you're with someone who's not only a busy, hardworking person, but also very creative and trying to do something, like, and create something from nothing or collaborate with others, you're always nonstop busy. It's like you said, you go from one thing to another. So how are you able to manage that, but still at the same time, like, in other words, put so much time and dedication to that, where you're able to be so creative and so amazing at what you do, but still at the same time manage to keep your friends, families, and loved ones happy, or show them that you care? Like, how do you find balance in that?
man, I'd love to say like I have some active mechanism that helps me with that. Um, all credit to my wife here, man. Not just in a superficial way, but she's been super supportive of this thing. We just celebrated our 10th anniversary this year, but so we've been together a significant. I mean, we were together for 15. We've been together for 15 years. So this was all new to her. Like I suddenly, I mean, it's a weird shift, right? 2020 comes along, and suddenly, your husband's like kind of sitting up there drawing stuff, and he's kind of immersed in this world. So I think her support kind of helped significantly tell me that this is one okay. Where if she was kind of nagging and she was like, "You're always up there," that I would have to make a change, because I mean, I don't think I could do or put in the hours that I did, especially in the beginning, to get here. She's also really good about carving out time. Like, hey, we're gonna go do this now, and I was like, "Yep, good. As long as I know, hey, this is what we're doing, and when we've got to do it, that's what I'm doing." Really, without her, man, there is a solid chance I would have turned into a hermit. Like I would have been so focused on this, not leaving the house. I'm like, I got this to do. If not for her, there's there's a chance that I would have like lost all my relationships. With luckily my family is overseas, so we don't have to split a ton of time between her family and my family. It's just her family that's here. We see my family every couple of years, when either they visit for a little while or we go overseas. So that's been easy to balance. Two sets of families would have been tougher for sure.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
It's not easy, man, when you have to start thinking about someone else other than yourself in more ways than one, about spending time, not only thinking about your feelings but theirs, making sure they're okay, making sure, like, you have to notice all those things, you have to pay attention, and then you still have to put in the time and the energy into what you still have love and passion for, and then still be supportive for that person as well and what they want to do. Like, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of yourself that you're giving up, and you're taking a bit of you and it's going here, and a bit of you is going there, and, like, so it's like a lot of people, they attempt it, or they'll see people online doing it and they make it seem like it's easy. And then when they go try it out themselves, they realize that it's not that they don't have what it takes, but they realize it takes a lot more than what they thought it did. And
Yeah.
a lot of them, they'll burn out. A lot of them, they'll give up. A lot of them say, you know what, there's no way to balance it. I have to pick one or the other. But then my whole thing is why I like having these conversations with people such as yourself is you found a way. You found your way to make it work with your situation and what you had going on. But you didn't you didn't look at it as an excuse. You still did things. You still accomplished so many different things. You still managed to have a 9 to 5 job to still balance your work-life balance to what you had a passion for. You're still able to put in the time and effort to be as creative and improving your skill, to be able to have the opportunities you're having, and still manage to have a wife who's keeping you, who's supporting you, who you're still with after 15 years. Like, a lot of people would be like, no, there's no way. I have to pick one or the other. I can't have, you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
if you were able to do it, it goes to show that there's many different things that people can take into consideration to making things work. It doesn't matter whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whether it's a passion. And that's what I like. I like when people get into it and they don't just speak about, okay, I started here and there, but yes, I have a wife and I have people that are involved. And it's like you're saying, like, without them, you wouldn't have gotten as far as you did. You know, all of us have those people that we have that are a support system, that are community, the ones that first told us, you know what, just give it a shot and go do it. So
Yeah.
it's great to see that people are still managing to keep those relationships and still build a career, or just having fun doing what they love. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think it helped that I was older as I kind of veered into this path. I think if I were in my 20s when this was happening, and kind of, weekend club rat, that kind of stuff, and then just friends, all, just a large group of friends that we're constantly hanging out, etc. I don't know if I could have found
True.
the balance or the wisdom to have that balance. But it's I'm just turned 46, so to me there's almost kind of a natural decline. I'm not looking to go, tie one on every weekend. I went from like a club rat and a bar rat to, I kind of love being at home now, man. It's just, there's several aspects of that. Like, when you're in the general populace, I just feel like we've gotten to a point where, there's been a kind of a weird switch that's flipped
Oh,
with people, and being in public places and large crowds. That's not my thing anymore. Going to music shows, that's no longer my thing. We used to go to like concerts all the time. I was like, that's too many people. I just kind of don't want to be around that many people. So yeah, I think being older helped, for sure.
sorry about that. I'm responding to somebody here in the chat. Hey, what's going on, William? Thank you for joining us tonight,
All
man.
good.
So I being that you mentioned being younger and being around, different groups of people and hanging out, what was it like? Because I know you mentioned that you came over here to the US when you were 18 years old, correct?
Yep.
So what was it like experiencing moving over here and that shift? Because I'm pretty sure there was a lot of things you had to adjust to that were pretty different from where you grew up in, and then coming over here. And then on top of that, it's like you said, I'm pretty sure that's another thing I wanted to ask you too. Like, you said you grew up, and I come from a Spanish family also, so it's very strict with us also about what you do with your career and how you spend your life, where you go to school, college, and that like they want you to have your life planned out. And it's like, if you don't do it this way, then you don't live in the house, you're not part of the family. Like, it's a whole thing.
Right, right.
I understand all that. So how did it feel from going to being over there where that was the norm to coming over here where I'm pretty sure you realized a lot is like, okay, you do whatever you want, just, you do it. You get what I'm saying? So what were certain things that you realized very quickly when you first came over here at 18 years old?
I don't necessarily think there were any aha moments when it comes to, whether that's career or anything of that sort. I just think, I was so in it. I mean, shoot, learning to do my own laundry, paying rent, being in school. So there was really nothing that, flicked a switch in terms of, hey, I'm in America and you can do anything you want in America. So I'm gonna like not do engineering and I'm gonna do something else. That never happened. I was singularly focused on wrapping that up. I will say, I don't know, perhaps it's more I think it was. No, I really can't think of anything where it made a shift in my thinking as far as that went. But as with anything, I grew up in Dubai, so coming to, and I live in the South, so I live in Birmingham, Alabama, and I went to college in Birmingham, Alabama. It wasn't a culture shock in that sense. So it wasn't a culture shock as far as I mean, I grew up speaking English, so that wasn't a challenge. We grew up watching American movies. I mean, my entire friend circle. I mean, we went to a British school, so whether that was the English influence or American influence from like TV and movies and whatnot, that part of it, I was right in it as I came in. There was nothing there. It was more, feeling a little homesick and learning to do all this other stuff because I didn't have family here. I knew nobody when I moved here. Just kind of plopped, just showed up and started doing it. Those adjustments were bigger, and plus you're 18.
It was just the adjustment of responsibility.
The adjustment of responsibility. I mean, your brain's still forming. At 18. I mean, you don't have any hard and fast opinion. So I guess I'm lucky in that sense that I kept on this path. Minus maybe a semester or two where I didn't do as well as I should have. I pretty much stuck to it. So no, I don't think I don't think that necessarily played a part. But as I said, you mentioned about your family. It's the same thing with mine. It wasn't necessarily a discouraging thing, but you're also so far removed from. And okay, let's also bring up like when I grew up, right? We were on the beginning stages of the internet. Okay, so it was dial up, and we were getting this stuff. So today, if it was a kid living in Sri Lanka, the internet gives him the avenue. Social media gives him an avenue to put his art out there and potentially be discovered and whatever. So when I was, a 10, 12, 13, 14, whatever that may be, year old kid, it's not like I saw any path to doing that. I mean, the internet was just, I mean, you know what it was there for. Yeah. Yeah. But beyond that, there's to make those connections. I mean, we get on like IRC chats and stuff like that and have friends globally, but no, those opportunities weren't there. But that's very different today for people growing up overseas.
So you
Those
don't feel
opportunities
like
are there.
you don't feel like there was any peer pressure for you to choose the career path that you're on or that you chose as far as your regular day-to-day job?
I don't think so. My dad's an engineer as well, so that was kind of always
Gotcha.
in sight. Like, hey, that's a thing I can do. I want to say I wasn't necessarily a very motivated kid in terms of, I want to be an astronaut or I want to be this, I want to be that. I kind of just looked at my dad and I was like, okay, that's all right. I guess I could do that, and just stayed with it. I wouldn't say I'm passionate about being an engineer or had a dream about being an engineer. I just had a role model to look up to and say, there he is. Yeah.
So what was it in having put so much time and effort into that and being so devoted and focused to it that you actually like made it happen? What was it that made you want to just be like, you know what, I like drawing, it's leading to this, instead of just being like, I could just keep doing commissions? What made you want to start your own project? What made you want to start your own thing?
There's for a lot of artists, I think when you do creator owned work, there are those guys out there that are super creative and they have this wealth of ideas and like this well of stuff bubbling inside them that they want to get out, and they don't want to just be doing work for hire stuff. They want to be doing something they're passionate about. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily on that extreme end of stuff, but this is an idea I've had in my head for a little while. And as we went along, there were multiple people on the journey. Once I started drawing, they were, I don't like, if you have an idea for a book, you need to put it down. So a lot of what I've been doing is covers and commissions. I haven't been doing many interior work, which is sequential storytelling. And this was a great way to just, I have an idea. I'm not a writer. David Byrne, he is a writer, and we've been friends for a while. I took the idea to him and said, like, look, this is what it is. I wouldn't even know how to break down that idea into like 22, 32, 40 pages, whatever that may be. So from structure to first act, second act, third act, all of that stuff, we kind of put it together. And now that I've started it, man, now that I've kind of dived into it, and I'm like 8, 9, 10 pages in, now I couldn't see another way to do this. Like, it's so cool. And I was like, hey, this is shit that I kind of came up with. This is not like pre-existing stuff that's out there. I guess I also didn't ask you language.
Yes, you could. You're free to
Okay.
say whatever openly, whatever you're comfortable with. This is about
All
you.
right. So yeah, it was that once I started getting into it and the flow of telling a story and drawing, and also, oh hey, by the way, this is mine. Well, ours, but like this came out of here. This wasn't somebody else creating a concept and whatever and giving me a sketch of an existing thing that was out there. So I'm kind of just reinterpreting that. Yeah. So I guess that was it. I'm actually like, yeah, pretty dull in that sense, where it's not like I sat around thinking one of these days I'm gonna whatever. But I was encouraged quite a bit by people to do it, and once I started doing it, that's when it really kind of clicked for me.
And what about it is like, why is it like such an impact for you doing this? Like, what's the biggest impact do you feel that you're trying to get out of this?
Um,
Is it just one of those things that you feel like you got to cross off your list of saying you did your own thing, or is there something specifically that you feel like you have to like is it a specific project you feel like no one can do, but it's you and it's just a thought that's in your head you got to get out there? Like, what is it?
no, I don't know if that's necessarily it. It's there's a learning aspect to it, of course, because one of the glaring holes in what I've been doing so far is I haven't done comic book interiors, right? So nobody really knows if I've got the chops to do it, including myself. Whether I've got the chops to do it, people don't know whether I have the chops to do it, because it's very different doing a static image, like a cool pose. And I try to make my commissions like kind of interesting, like good different camera angles, whether that's low, high, twisted around, etc. I try to give it like some interest from that sense, and tell a story just from a single image. But there's zero evidence out there, including in my own head, whether I could do it. And so doing this, and I hope people will agree once they see the book, but I'm proving stuff to myself.
And with that, you mentioned like it's a learning process. There's a lot that you're doing, and it's a lot different than the stuff that you were doing before. You're realizing that there's a lot more to it that you need to learn, and you're doing it all yourself, and you're going through it step by step, and you're building it from scratch. What do you feel is a challenge that, as an indie artist, creators can prepare to face no matter what? Like, it doesn't matter if you're in a big company, small company, if you're popular, not popular, if you're, you know what I mean, if you're working with a big team or just yourself. What's something that's inevitable for them to come across when they're doing such a project like yourself, especially when you're an indie artist?
Man, I think one is a lesson that I didn't heed until very recently, which is, man, do your own comic. Like, just, you don't have to have an idea of whether you're going to publish it or whatever. Just do your own comic. Get into the language of doing it, and just keep doing it from there. I don't know if I necessarily have advice on stuff to look out for. Some of the things that I'm learning is a function of age as well, man, because I'm used to drawing on like large 11 by 17, about like that size, right? So it's not a strain on the eyes or anything like that. But once you start drawing panels, a comic book panel, you're literally you have to find a way to translate what you're trying to say on that small scale. um you've also got to figure out what details you can leave out, because if you try to like render every little thing as if you were drawing a larger piece or a commission, it just shows up. That art gets shrunk down to comic book size. That panel, you just can't see it. So you really have to learn that language of kind of what you leave out, how you tell a story, etc., etc. For me, it's been, I got to put on these. I have these magnifying glasses, right? Oh, it looks dorky as hell. But when I'm drawing these panels, man, and I'm drawing a head or something in that panel, man, I'll put those suckers on, and yeah.
I can just
But you never know.
imagine. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I can just imagine the type of delicate accuracy you have to have and the patience. Like, it's things like that I don't know. Like, I'm the type of person that's just like, I can't, I can't, like, I just lose it. Or if I'm watching someone, I'm just like, do it already. Like, it's one of those
Yeah.
things. So it's like, I can just thinking about someone having to be there. Like, I don't know. I have to be like, there has to be like opera playing or something. I don't know, and like candles lit, or like it needs to be really zen and peaceful. If not, like I can't. I'm one of those people that I when it comes to being really patient and everything, I just want to get it over with. I'm anxious. I'm like, so I
Yeah.
stuck at moments like that. But what I wanted to ask you, Ness, with everything that you were doing in the process and building everything, have you let anyone read or look into what you've made so far? And if you have, what is the feedback that you're getting from the readers?
Yeah. So David and I, we finished, like I said, we finished the first 8 pages, and the reason that I was in that crunch trying to do those 8 pages in 11 days was because Heroes Convention, which is a fairly large comic convention in Charlotte, and it brings together, unlike San Diego, which also has the movie studio aspect and the cosplay aspect and whatever, it's turned into a little bit more than a comic book convention. Heroes still maintains some of those, and it has a really great kind of attendance. So we wanted to have those 8 pages printed out as an 8 page comic book that we could release during Heroes. So I mean, it was super successful during release. There was a lot of people that picked it up. It's available online now to pick up the 8 page preview, including a free digital preview.
Nice.
So if you just want to read it online and see what's going on, um, I will say sometimes I find it hard to believe that people are telling me the truth when they tell me it's good. Right? There's a part of me like, well, what else are you gonna say? Like, you're not gonna be like a complete dick to me. I mean, we're friends, whatever. And I'm not about soliciting mass opinions online either. That's not useful to me. I kind of like it if people I know, or people who are genuinely engaged in the art form of comics, like they read it. They don't have to know me, but if they're reading it, and I've had some unsolicited, like, good feedback where people that have bought it have taken it upon themselves to email me or say, "Hey, I just got done reading the book. I really like da 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 da," and whatever, and that makes me feel good. That's awesome. To get unsolicited. So I'm not telling people like, "Hey, make sure you read that and then let me know what you think."
Exactly.
And it's just, people will reach out to me and DM me on Instagram and be like, "Hey, I was there. I got your book. I just wanted to tell you, I really like it. I can't wait till the rest of the book comes out." So it's been really gratifying, man. David and I are both like pretty happy, and it supercharges me for kind of doing the rest of the book.
What's one thing that you wish people understood about the hustle of being an artist while working a full-time job, especially with what you have to do, where there's things like deadlines, or you're trying to, take an image or what you see in your mind and bring it to life, and there's no rushing it. There's time, there's dedication, but at the same time, that you want to put it out before a specific time for whatever reason, to put it out there in the world. Like, what's something you wish more people understood when it came to all that?
So I'll kind of these I have like some rules for myself, which is never overpromise, something in terms of delivery or what you can do, etc. Always leave yourself like a cushion in terms of when people can expect to get the work. I find I know a lot of artists because I buy art too, right? I know a lot of artists that are just, they don't have the organizational bit down, right? Because for one reason or the other, so they hold on to stuff for months. They're months behind deadline, etc. Some of that is just due to like poor time management. Some of that is due to life stuff, but if you've taken someone's money for a piece of work, man, um, I'm racked with guilt till I deliver the project. So much so that these days, there's a lot of people I won't take money up front, especially people that I've done the work with. I'm not an idiot. It's not if it's a stranger, I'm going to say like, hey, you got to, drop a deposit or something. But I think I wish we lived in a world where everyone can have that exchange where I can say, I'm not going to take your money, but give me time to do it. So now I'm unchained, but that's not reality either. I would definitely say that don't over promise. If anything, undersell yourself. Like, oh, it's gonna take me, 6 weeks to do this, even though you can do it in a week. But set the expectation. Give yourself a cushion for delivery. I would also say, if you finish the art, freaking ship it, man. Ship it. The amount of times and the amount of complaints I hear from people about artists who finish the work, they've sent them a picture, they've shared it on social media. It's been it's been weeks and a month or months, and the guy's just not shipping it because that's a trip to the post office, et cetera, et cetera. I would also say the other thing is learn how to package your art. Like, talk to somebody. Don't roll it up into a tube. Don't just put it in an Amazon box and throw some packing peanuts on it. There's specific ways you got. No one wants to get original art and have it be crumpled and stuff like that. So those are little things. I would say put some effort into those little touches with your commissioners and stuff like that, and be organized and be responsive. Talk to people, communicate. Those are the things I think. I mean, talent is talent. Someone reached out to you because you had talent. They liked your work, whatever. That's the only reason someone commissioned you. Okay? So don't worry about talent. You have it. That's why someone's paying you money to do this thing. Talent only takes you so far, man. I've seen super talented people just screw the pooch because they don't pay enough attention to the details. Communication, over communicate if you have to. If you're late, shit happens. I mean, you had some people have kids that get sick. They have illnesses themselves, whatever. Proactively communicate and said, hey man, I know I said this would be done next week, but this happened, blah, blah, blah. No one's going to complain about it. Those are not just my pet peeves, but I feel like it's helped me build up a quote unquote business in that sense. Because people know what they get from me, and then that word goes out as well. You're not doing this in a vacuum. People are sharing this info on various sites, etc. Hey, I commissioned Eranga D. He delivered it 2 weeks earlier than he promised. Shipped it freaking securely. Blah 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 blah. Those things are important, man. Your talent will get you so far, and then people won't give a shit about how talented you are. It's just they're not throwing money your way to have you sit on a piece of art for 6 months.
I agree. No, I agree. It makes sense. And I do agree with you. There are little things, and it's even with me, even with doing podcasts and recording, or when I'm doing clips and everything like that, there's things I understand that you just feel like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll push it off. And then, it's out of sight, out of mind. And then that one day or tomorrow turns into next week, next month. And you're like, oh, I don't even remember doing that. You know what I mean? And it sucks. And it's like you said, it's word of mouth. You don't want to get the reputation of being a person that doesn't that isn't a person of their word, you know, especially like you said, if you're getting paid for it, if you get paid, you know, send it out there. Let's get it out there. Let's get it done, and let's get on to the next one.
Yeah, man. If you're not getting paid for it, if you're only doing it for love of the art and you're artsy fartsy and you're like, oh, I'm one with my art and my art is one with me, that's all fine. Take all the time you want. Be unprofessional as much as you want because you don't have a client base. The second money comes into the equation and someone pays you, man, you know, suck it up, buttercup. Like you cannot say I'm an artist. This is my process. You took money from someone, like, you know,
100%.
get it done.
What's some advice that you would give other creators who feel stuck between practicality and passion?
Man, that's a good question. Stuck between practicality and passion. In what sense would you say? You're saying
Like, in other words, from playing it safe and just going the route of having a job and you know, just doing that, something that has security, versus putting in that extra time and extra work and risking those sleepless nights or those nights where you can't go hang out with people, and you know, you have to give up those moments so that you can put in the work so that it'll pay off in the future. What do you say to those people who are having a hard time choose between those, like the safe side of having a career, of a job that is not what they want, but you know, it's something that they don't mind doing, and actually trying to take the risk of making a living off of the passion that they truly have of something they care about?
Sure, man, and I think this idea, like, it also tells you how cool it is to live in a country where you can even think about, hey, let's let go of the practical and jump into the passion. And at the very least, there's an opportunity to get that to work. So that's very cool. Let me say, you can live in. There's a lot of countries where that's just not possible. I'm fairly risk averse myself. So, you know, I don't know what it would take. Before I give advice to somebody else, I gotta kind of look in myself as well, because it's something I struggle with. Like, where's the line where I say, you know, hey, I'm gonna dive in with both feet, and then when I think about that, I don't necessarily need to do that yet, right? Because I get what I need to get out of this. I'm getting now. I understand completely. You know, I don't mean to make it sound. There's extraordinary circumstances that help me do this. I work from home. You know, I have this other job where, you know, that I can kind of sit here and do both. From a time management perspective, that definitely helps. So, you know, if you're a 9 to 5 where you had to clock in at an office, etc., I know that's a little bit more different. Yeah, I don't know. That's my rambling way of saying I'm still trying to figure that out myself. But I will say, like, if you have a passion and you have your regular job, you know, at the very least, do something with that passion and see how it's going, where that path is leading you, before you even have to make that. Because I know people that have a 9 to 5 that have this talent or have this passion, and they don't even do anything. Um, Me, I invested my time. I sacrificed, you know, weekends, nights, etc., to see if this were even possible. So if you're not willing to at least do that for the hustle for a little bit, I personally like the safety of having my job to back me up. Not having to worry about paying the bills, I think, helps me do better work, because usually I'm always doing more work than someone paid for a lot of the times when I'm drawing, because I just feel like this is, you know, I want to put out a product that's representative of what I do. I don't know if that answered your question, man, but I would say if you haven't even started on your passion while you're simultaneously doing your 9 to 5, you're not gonna have an answer.
No, I agree with you. I do agree with you on that. And it's hard, man. It's hard. It's for anybody. And again, it's not even just with things of jobs. It's relationships also. You know, if you have a good career going, and then it's like you said, if you weren't married and you didn't have your wife, you would have been a hermit and you would have been focused on that one thing. I think that's a lot of people when they don't have anything else. And it's not necessarily distractions, but other things that are showing them that they can take their time and it doesn't need to be fully dedicated into work or improving themselves or something, and they can literally just enjoy themselves and enjoy the
Hmm.
moment and enjoy how far they progress so far. Like I
Yeah.
think a lot of people would be just focused in this one thing and be like, oh, I don't have to focus on anything else. So it's like it's a direct path. It's like you said before, like it never changed. You knew what you were gonna do, and that's what you were going for. And it wasn't until you experienced all these other things that, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. But you found a way to work it into what you originally had planned that you were gonna do. And I
Right.
think that a lot of people, instead of doing that, they just get distracted, and instead of saying to themselves, and I could do this and that, they look at it like I have to pick between one or the other. And then
Right.
they get stuck, and then they're like, oh, I already started this and I gave this all my time, so I can't go back to this, or it's too late, or I'm already too old and the time has passed. And the time, little do you know, like there's so many people, it doesn't matter what age they are, they get into it there. It's like you said, you have more experience. And if it wasn't for that experience you had, you probably would have been able to make the right decisions that you made to lead to the opportunities you have. So
Right.
things work out in ways that we don't even realize. And it's just that if it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. And if you really want it to happen, it's possible. That's what I truly believe. And it's people such as yourself that's living proof of it. You know what I mean? Like it's, I find everything that you do, and I've seen your work. It's really talented. And I'm the type of person that zooms into stuff. So I like to look at all the little details because you can tell that you drew it. It's not like now, and it's something that I really enjoy seeing, that there's still people doing that, compared to like it's me. You saw the what I did before. I use Chat GPT to create my stuff, and it's not perfect. It's
Right.
not perfect. But at the
Right.
same time, in a world or in an age now where a lot of stuff, like you can't even tell if the videos you're watching are real, or if the
Yep.
people on social media are real, or the voices you're hearing are actually them. Like, so to see people that are actually doing art such as what you're doing, putting pen to paper, pencil to paper, ink to paper, whatever it is, and you're literally drawing it yourself, and it's not a machine doing it automatically or a combination of all these, I think that that's something that's really rare, and it's going to be harder and harder to still find around there. So it's like I really enjoyed, as a kid, I loved looking at comic books, and I remember getting so frustrated trying to draw what I was seeing and having it not be the same, and not really comprehending and understanding that it was the small little details that were making it stand out like it was. And it's like,
Right.
oh, it's like you said, like over the time and over the, like me growing up and having the experience, like I started realizing more of that and being a fan and reading comics and looking at stuff and why. And it's things like that that you don't notice until you realize that it comes from the firsthand experience of time. But when you really care about something, you start noticing the little details. And it's like it's no different whether you're a fan of reading the book or whether you're an artist. You start noticing the little details of things that you have to improve, and that's what really makes the whole thing come together. And it's
Yep.
like you figured it out. You figured out the code, you cracked it, and you were able to have your career, do what you loved, have a wonderful marriage. Like, and it's gotten to where you are today. And I feel like if someone like you were able to do it, I think many other people could find their way of finding their success and being a creative artist as well as having that job. Like, I don't, if you're able to sit there and make diagrams of what you did and everything like that and focus on a job that takes that much effort, I really don't see how someone else can't manage to balance it with a job that doesn't take that much time, doesn't take that much focus. Like, it's possible. If you could do it,
Right.
and it's really busy and it takes a lot of your brain power for your job, but you manage to shut that off, not only to have your relationship with your wife, but still be as creative as you are and have like the success. I think many people can have it happen also, man.
No, I absolutely think so. At the very least, I think for a short period of time, you should be able to do both. Um, and then come to a decision. You might come to a different decision from me that says, hey, you know what, I'm going to quit one to do, but at least give it a go with the two
Yes.
before you get to a point where you have to make that decision. I'll say another thing really quick, kind of that ties into this is over the years, what I found is, and people are very well meaning when they do this. When I did the 300 cover for Frank Miller, people are like, oh, what's next? Oh, I guess Next is a Marvel book or a DC book or whatever. And I don't think like that. And I try to avoid having other people set those goalposts. Here's trap to fall into, because now you're like, okay, I did this and I did this, and suddenly it's like you're chasing, going from Frank Miller's 300 to Marvel, where you should just be doing what makes you happy. You should do Frank Miller's 300, then you do an unknown indie book, and then something else, and then something else. Like, because I never started in this thing with the idea that I'd have published work out there, every time someone wants a piece of work from me to be published, I think it's like miraculous. I'm like, holy shit, this is insane. And so I still have that in me. So when well-meaning people, by the way, this is not people saying, oh, what's next, buddy? Like, come on, like, you gotta keep moving or whatever. It's not. It's really because they're thrilled for you and they want to see you take the next step. It's an easy trap to fall into, is to be constantly chasing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, like go bigger and bigger and bigger. Whereas take a breath, like figure out, hey, X amount of years ago, you weren't even doing this. Like, you didn't even think this was happening. So, I would say, yeah, that's definitely find your own kind of meter and find out where you're happy on with that meter, and dial it in and tune out the noise.
I agree with you, man. That's great advice. Is there anything that you would like to let any of the viewers, listeners? We are live on Twitch, Kick, and on X and YouTube tonight. And a shout out real quick to MP Pfeiffer for coming in. William, thank you. Sean, thank you. Thank you guys for coming and kicking with us in the chat. I truly appreciate it. And again, a reminder to everyone watching who joined the chat, anyone who's listening to this will be live on all our audio streaming platforms on Clocking Out. For any for Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play. It'll also be live on YouTube, so you can replay it if you missed anything. Any of the information that you heard from tonight, as well as any of the social media and contact information, if you would like to reach out to Eranga, you can reach him out and check out his work. And you can also, I'm also going to get the links from you later on, so I can put it in the description as well, so that they can go and check out your comic. For the first, it was 8 or 9 pages, 8, right?
8 pages, the first 8 pages.
Yes, and you guys can go and give him some feedback and check out what he's doing. But before we get out of here, is there anything that you would like to let our listeners, followers, and supporters know about yourself, about anything else that you have coming up, or just some advice or words of wisdom? How would you like to end this on a good note?
Get the social stuff out of the way. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. On Instagram, it's eranga.d.art. I am heavily into this book, my creator-owned book that we're doing right now. That's taken up significant amount of my time. I'll be at Dragon Con in Atlanta the end of August. So I'm a guest at Dragon Con, and then my next appearance after that is actually February next year, where I'll be at Original Art Expo, which is kind of one of the premier, like, it's a really cool, like, if you love original art, like, that's the show to be at in the United States, I think. So that's what I'm doing there. As far as, I feel like, I don't necessarily think I'm in a position to give people advice. Everyone runs their, this is such a weird journey that I've been on. Like, so many things had to kind of just click in a weird way. It took a pandemic to put me on the path that I'm on. Who's to say, barring the pandemic happening, I might still just be kind of doing what I'm doing, right? Like, this wouldn't have even. I've met so many cool people on this journey. Kind of going out to conventions and other collectors, etc. And I would say, for anyone thinking I'm too old, I was 40 when I started doing this. So I just don't think that's an excuse. Just, I mean, if you have the passion and it's just, you can do it. It's out there. You just got to put in the time, and know there'll be hours that you'll sacrifice. But it, man, to me, it's been way worth it to get it done.
I love hearing that, man, and I fully agree with you. I don't think the more and more I've been having these conversations, and I see the amount of people who are way older than what I expected for them to say how they started at, and me to from the experience that they have and the way that they present themselves, even yourself, I would assume that you would have been in this field doing art and everything since you were younger. So the fact that you say that you got into it around 40 makes it even way more impressive also that you were able to do that and still accomplish what you've accomplished. You get what I'm saying? Like it goes
Yeah,
to show that it was a small amount of time, but it was dedicated, it was precise, you did it, and you did something that you actually had a passion and you enjoyed doing. And it goes to
yeah,
show that if anyone can find what it is that gives them that feeling, they can find a lot of success in it too. It's just showing people that it's possible to make that transition of cutting out time from watching Netflix, or like you said, going out there and hanging out and doing things that yes it's fun and everything, but at the end of the day, like, what are you really getting out of it, and is it really beneficial to you, your future, your loved ones? Like, and I like that people such as yourself is showing that there's more ways than one to be successful, and just be creative. And that's the main thing. And being successful with being creative, it's you don't really hear a lot of it. A lot of people just do the whole, all right, this is the plan, you got to buy this, flip that, and whatever. But it's like I mentioned, it's really hard to find someone who's doing something creatively where it isn't just like an automated AI thing that's a print and copy paste type thing. So it's rare. So I feel like we have more people that are like that and that are quietly creating, and they don't express themselves more because they feel like there's no opportunity out there for it. So
yeah,
I like shedding the light on people such as yourself who are very creative and who have found success and drawing pictures. Like I've never, even as myself as a kid, I never would have thought that anyone got paid drawing pictures. So when you grow up and you realize that, yo, there's not only they drawing pictures, they're making books, they're making cartoons, they're making movies, they're making clothing, they're making, like, there's so many possibilities. And then when you
right.
look at it and you see that there's many more doors down that hallway, it just makes it really exciting. So
Yeah.
I like that. I like shedding light on that.
Well, awesome. I appreciate the opportunity, man. The only additional thing I'd say is, if you're gonna do this, if you're a 35-year-old kind of sitting there right now, or even a 40-year-old sitting there saying, "Hey, this wasn't like jump in and do it," but approach it with intentionality. Like, don't half-ass it. Like, if you're gonna do it, and because you'll half-ass it, and then you'll say, "Hey, you know what? That doesn't work." You're depriving yourself out of an opportunity to do something that you're passionate about and you love, and that could carry you potentially, into the latter half of your life, if you want it to be. But do it. Approach it with intentionality, man.
I agree with you, man.
Yeah.
Haranga, before we get out of here, I just want to remind everybody that this week you are able to claim your POAP. POAPs stand for Proof of Attendance Protocol. These are digital access tokens that we are giving to our followers, listeners, and supporters who come and show love to that week's guest speakers or any podcast episodes that we have related to this week's streams. So you'll be able to claim. All you have to do is interact in the chat. You'll go over to the website, ClockingOut.net. You'll fill out the form with all your contact information, and we'll send you a link where you'll be able to claim a free digital token. That token will be used as an access token for you to enter raffles, giveaways, or anything that we have going on. All you have to do is come and show love, come hang out, come and support, and you can get a POAP. It's that simple. So if you want some more information, go to ClockingOut.net and you'll get more information on that. It's completely free. Before we get out of here, Ranga, I wanted to ask you, what does clocking out mean to you?
Oof. That's the final question, right? Okay. That's a tough one. Clocking out, to me, in the traditional sense, it's leaving behind my day job and kind of jumping into my side hustle. It doesn't necessarily be. It doesn't always have to be leaving it behind forever. So 5 o'clock is clock out of my day job and then clock into the hustle.
I love it. I love that, man. Oranga, thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and kick it with me and share a little bit about yourself, share your passion, share your love for your art, Everybody who came and kicked it with us in the chat, thank you so much. Be sure to go and give him a follow, show him some love. All his information for his Instagram or any of his social media profiles, as well as where you can find his artwork, will be listed in the description of wherever you're watching or listening to this episode of Clocking Out. I truly want to thank all of you for showing love and support. Once again, Eranga, thank you for kicking it with me. I truly appreciate it. I love y'all. Stay safe. Have a great night. Peace. And we see you guys in the next one. I love y'all.